Hello, I read Dangerous Women by Hope Adams in July of 2021. So this book is an isolated mystery set on a women's convict ship headed for Tasmania. What a premise. That is so great. Sign me up. Unfortunately, this book just didn't live up to its premise. You know, the setting, the mystery, its premise were nicely set up in the first few chapters. It actually felt very reminiscent of the Mary Bryant miniseries. If you're Australian, you might know it. I adore this miniseries. Admittedly, I saw it when I was a kid, but I still think it really holds up. It's great. My love of that miniseries was what led me to my interest in the book. But unfortunately, after the first few chapters, everything just stalled. This had no momentum. You know, we sat in the exact same place plot development wise for ages. Going into this book, I was wondering, how is someone going to keep the plot moving with a book set on an isolated ship? And it turns out the answer is that they just weren't. This was a historical fiction writer trying to write a mystery rather than a mystery writer just setting it in a historical setting, you know, and it just didn't work. Eventually, at the end, you know, when stuff did start happening, the mystery reveal felt so underdeveloped and cheap. The writing itself also really fell in quality too. In the last third of this book, it suddenly started just banging me over the head with the themes and the feelings it wanted me to feel. You know, it was written in such obvious ways with such kind of immature, undercooked writing. Even the characters that had felt more dimensional in the beginning of the book felt more one-dimensional by the end. You know, it's quite an accomplishment to decomplexify a character, but it felt like I was suddenly reading a storybook for children by the end. You know, all of the nuance and tension and edge had been just sucked out, and for a story set on a convict ship, it felt squeaky clean. I will give this book credit in that it introduced me to a part of history that I was unfamiliar with, the Rajah quilt. I had no knowledge of that, and this book was very much based on a true story and true people, and I actually think that was part of what hemmed it in. I think the writer was trying to be so honorable and respectful to these real people that she didn't make her characters very interesting. I think she chained down her own story. It wasn't as interesting as it could have been if I think she had been a little more loosely tied to or based on the past. Overall, I was just disappointed, really wanted to love it, didn't think it worked.